Good afternoon, folks. This is Robert Chappell, Executive Editor of Madison365, with your daily update for Friday, April 23rd. I am fully vaccinated. Now I got to sit for 2 weeks until, before it's fully, before I'm fully supercharged or whatever I get to be. Having had the second shot, feeling fine so far. Just about an hour and a half ago, got it. So I'm going to try to get as much work done as I can before like 9. Assuming I'll probably crash shortly thereafter. So, if I keel over during the program, um, you know, call somebody, I guess. Today we're going to talk a little bit about. We've got some pretty kind of mixed bag news. Some really good news and some news that's not so good, but that might be actually okay. Then we'll be joined in the second half of the program by Ajimu Butler, a good friend of the 365 family from Milwaukee, who's got a couple more children's books out. Talks a little bit about the importance of uh, promoting education in Black and Brown communities. So first, though, I got to mention our sponsor for this week of the update is the Just Research Program, understanding that Black people have been left out of health studies for basically, history, all of history, and results of that is that therapies and treatments for diseases, um, even diseases that predominantly affect Black people, medicines are only tested on white people. So the question that the University of Wisconsin is asking, these researchers at the University of Wisconsin are asking, what would encourage more Black people to participate in clinical trials so that we could get more equity in how we're testing our medicines. And if you are willing to take a 10-minute survey, this is not a clinical trial. They're not going to test any medicines on you. It's just a survey about what kind of medical study you would be willing to participate in. You call 608-709-9470 or email justresearch@ictr.wisc.edu. And we appreciate the university supporting the show. Okay, let's talk COVID stats for a minute. The good news here, I'll lead with the good news, and then we'll talk about a little bit of bad news or concerning news. Let's say that way. The positive test rate, which is the percentage of tests in the past 7 days that have come back positive, we want to get that below 3.0, right? We were below 3.0. Then we got as high up after that as 3.8, which was getting really concerning to me. We are now back down to 3.1. So that bodes well. That makes me think that, perhaps we will continue to, if that continues, that trend, that downward trend, we'll be back below 3 by next week. And then we got to keep it there, right? So that's the good news. Just in terms of pure numbers today, very similar to yesterday, 5,400 tests, 795 cases. That's still quite a few cases, to be frank. Current average of new cases is 654 per day. Active cases is still over 9,000. Don't love that, but generally speaking, the case numbers are doing okay. Two bits of bad news today. Number one, we were reporting 13 fatalities today, which not that long ago, that would have been pretty good news. The problem is that we haven't seen double-digit fatalities in almost 2 weeks. Now, we also know that fatalities take a long time to report, and sometimes we get them in batches. So these 13 deaths, I haven't, unfortunately, because I was kind of busy today, I haven't really had a chance to dig into this data. I haven't seen when these deaths actually occurred. So this might be data catch up from December, January, February. So this might not be that big of a problem. Or these might be relatively recent. It's hard to tell. So we'll see what happens like Monday, Tuesday next week. It's also possible that we did see a surge in cases beginning about a month ago. So this might be actually sort of an echo of that. That we see a surge in cases, you're going to see a surge in deaths a month later. So we might be seeing that now. We'll wait and see what the death numbers look like Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. And we'll cross our fingers and hope that this is just data catch up and we don't see a big surge in death in the next couple weeks. Okay. Now, the other big problem is variants. We got a variant update last night after I had already done my show. I found out about this variant problem. Right now, okay. So what they're doing is they're giving a random sample of positive tests, and they're sequencing the DNA to determine whether they're, I don't know, good old coronavirus or a new variant of coronavirus. We know these variants typically tend to be more contagious, not necessarily more dangerous to you as an individual, but more dangerous to the community because they're just more contagious. Okay, so since they started doing this 6 weeks ago, they've sequenced about 10,600 cases. Out of those, just under 9% are some form of variant. Okay, that's over the past 5 weeks. That doesn't seem too bad. Here's the problem. Of the cases that they've just sequenced in the past 7 days, 25% are UK variant. That's just the one variant. 25% of the cases sequenced in the past 7 days are UK variant. That's not good at all. Like that's also much higher than it was a week ago. A week ago it was like 10%. And the week before that it was about 4%. So that's going in the wrong direction really bad. We did also have a handful of South Africa variants. We're only 13 more of those for a total of 28 now. We had 9 more Brazil variant cases. So that's total of that is 20 now. And we had about 100, just over 100 new cases of the California variant. So that's now at 364 total. I should say we've now identified 518 cases of UK variant in the past 5 weeks, of which over 200 of those were just the past week. Okay. So what does that mean? That means if that is a representative sample, and there's no reason to believe it's not. When I say there's 795 new cases today, is that what I said? It's reasonable to think that of those 795 cases, probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 200 are UK variant cases. Right? If 25% of the random sample cases were that UK variant, it's reasonable to infer that 25% of all cases are UK variant, which would be, just for today alone, 200 more cases of UK variant. So the next step of what that means is we got to stay vigilant. We have to keep our masks on, right? The more this thing spreads, the more it can mutate and the more new variants can pop up. Also, we know that UK variant children are more susceptible, or seem to be more susceptible to UK variant. We got schools opening all over the place, which is, it's great that we're doing it, and the schools are doing a pretty good job for the most part. But you got schools opening, and you got this variant starting to surge. That's a recipe for disaster, potentially. So keep your masks on. Keep your distance. Do not give up just because vaccines are happening, right? And we also know that the vaccines are slowing because a lot of people are just kind of complacent about it. They're either like, there's some small set of people who are just like, nope, not going to do it. It's a government conspiracy. I'm not getting my microchip. Okay, fine. There's a whole bunch of other people who just literally can't get it. Like there's just so many barriers with their work schedule, with transportation, language barriers, etc. The state is putting a lot of money into getting to those populations. And there's a whole big swath of us in the middle who are privileged enough to where it's an inconvenience, right? It's kind of a pain in the ass to go to 2 doctor's appointments, to get a shot, sit there for 15 minutes, then be sick for a day or 2, right? It's an inconvenience. But if it's just an inconvenience, you're in a place of privilege, and you should, go through the inconvenience for the sake of the entire community, because we got to get this to 80% vaccinated. Because with these variants, if these variants really take hold, we're going to be chasing it. The vaccines are going to be chasing it. We are now past 30% vaccinated in Wisconsin, fully vaccinated, both shots done. We got to get that to 80. We will have enough supply to get to 80 by July 4th. The question is, do we have the will as a people to get it done? And that's up to you. It's up to you whether you want to get it done or not. You know, make your informed decision and then just do it. Like, you can withstand the inconvenience and do it for somebody else. This is very true. Certain politicians, Ron, you see Ron Johnson today saying that it should be limited to the most vulnerable. That is the stupidest, most ignorant comment, because that's not the point. The point of being vaccinated is not just for yourself. When I get vaccinated, I'm not just protecting myself. I'm protecting my kids. I'm protecting my neighbors. I'm protecting everybody that I walk past. Everybody on my team. And I am, one more tiny little fraction of a percentage toward 80%. We have to get to 80% vaccinated. Every one of you who gets vaccinated is one more tiny little fraction of a percent to get there. So it should, the idea that we should just vaccinate the most vulnerable and the rest of us will be fine. Like, that's just the stupidest. This is not how any of this works. Anyway, so that's the coronavirus news. Stick with us. We'll be right back after a brief message from a sponsor, and then we'll have my interview with Ajimu, which is great. You will love. If you've never seen Ajamou Butler talk about this stuff, you'll enjoy this. He's just a really good guy to listen to about these issues. So we'll be right back right after this.
Here in the Midwest, community is important.
Having a healthcare system that's looking out for us,
that's actively addressing the racial disparities in healthcare is important.
When we can get good quality care, we can do more. We can achieve more.
We can be the kind of community we want to be, and that's really important.
UW Health. Remarkable medicine. Remarkable care.
All right, so I talked with Ajimu this morning, and I did so at our fancy new office. So you will see, this is at the Club on the Square, the Boys and Girls Club facility downtown. They're generously letting us use as sort of a headquarters for Madison365. So it'll look different. But here's my chat with. Here's what we're talking about. We're talking about he's got these two new children's books out. Easter Loves English, Malcolm Loves Math. This is his second stab at writing children's books. He did some poetry books for children several months ago. These are workbooks for 3rd to 5th grade kids. So here's my chat with Ajamou Butler. And joining the program today, a good friend of the 365 family, Mr. Ajamou Butler of Milwaukee. How are you doing this morning?
I'm good, Rob. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great. Hey, could you, first of all, for those who maybe don't know, could you kind of introduce yourself? You're the founder of Heal the Hood. That's how most people know you. Can you tell us just the very brief elevator pitch for what Heal the Hood is and what you do?
Absolutely. So Heal the Hood is our nonprofit organization here in Milwaukee. And I launched it back in 2012. Essentially, we have two major arms of Heal the Hood. One is our annual block party and outreach campaign. And that's where we do these massive street festivals, man, right in the middle of the hood. And it's always, 600-700 people there, 800 people. We do our school supply giveaway. It's always free food, resources, entertainment. It's just amazing. And the second arm of Heal the Hood is our in-school campaign. And that's where we go into the high schools, man, and we teach a curriculum about social justice, social emotional development, and creative writing tied in one. So, I'm just a community servant. But like I said, man, Heal the Hood, that's my thing, man. That's it.
So now, speaking of that school piece, though, now you're out now, or you're going to be soon, with two new children's books, basically about school stuff, right? Can you just tell us about those two books that are coming out?
Yeah. So, in my goal to position myself as an expert on childhood academic and social emotional development, I said, okay, we need more curriculum. We need more tangible hands-on workbooks for the children. So my first set of books were spoken word based. They were reading books. These two particular books, Malcolm Loves Math and Isha Loves English, are workbooks that are designed for 3rd through 5th grade students. And I like it because the word problems in there are so amazing. The way we creatively stimulate the child and cognitively push them as well with these new workbooks, it's off the chain, man. So again, just seeing the need, being in the high school. I've been in high school where the learning curve was a middle school level. So I know that we have to work to capture the young ones. We have to work to capture the babies. Just a famous quote, and I'll leave it at that one. They say it is better to train boys than to retrain men. It is better to train boys than to retrain men. And so that's why we targeted a younger age group with the workbooks with that 3rd through 5th grade.
And talk a bit about cultural competency too, because workbooks exist for that age, but they don't have there's not a black boy on the cover of that work. Of those, you know what I mean? So why is that important?
UW Madison did a study in I think 2018, and they found out that less than 10% of children's books actually have black faces in them. The higher numbers were of animals, and then of non-children of color, and below them was like Native American, brown community and family, so on and so forth. And so I just set myself on a mission. I said, we have to put black faces in books, not just for black children, but for all children, because when a child can see a person of color in a workbook and they're learning, they're reading, they're growing, it begins to shape and change the perception of people of color. So again, just capturing them at that young age and putting that cultural competency in there. One piece I love about the workbooks, Malcolm is a vegan. Okay, so we got a couple word problems in there about him making vegan ice cream for his friends to come over for the sleepover. Okay, so he needs to get this ingredient, this ingredient. If Malcolm has 3 friends coming over and he needs this much ingredients, how many smoothies can young Malcolm make? So we try to incorporate different lifestyle and faces and shapes and colors, man. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. But it's also really important, like what you said. First of all, there's kind of you tell me, is this still a thing where black kids are kind of given the stigma, like if you're trying to be smart, you're trying to be white?
Mm-hmm.
Is that still operative as far as what you're saying?
Unfortunately, yeah, unfortunately, and I hate that it's like that. We got to reverse that narrative.
Right. So, but what you're doing is taking 3rd and 5th grade kids and you're being like, black kids, do math, do your English, do your, you can be smart and still be black, right? Like that's and hang on to your culture and everything. That's terrific. But also, it's important for like you said, like white kids to see black kids doing math, right? And being intellectual and academic. Smart, right? So, So now one of the things about these books is that really pops is the illustration, right? Can you talk about your illustrator that you've worked with in both these book projects?
Absolutely. So I have been working with author Jasmine West is her name. And I met Jazz in about 2015, man, just through some community activism work in this art project that she was working on. And so ever since then, man, we have been closer than close. And so she illustrated the first books, Destined to Be Me. And so I only felt it was right to bring her on to this next project. And so the illustrations this time around are just so rich, so full of life, so full of energy. I'm extremely excited for this project, man. I can't wait. I cannot wait.
So what's the timeline? When are these coming out? And people can pre-order, is that true?
Absolutely. People can reorder them at AjimuButler.com.
AjimuButler.com. Okay.
Yep, they are only $20.20. And they should be out in June of 2021. So it was a couple months, we got to put it in a slow cooker, and let it cook good, let it marinate and everything like that. But
are you going to be trying to get these into schools as well, or is this mostly for families? Or
absolutely. So we also have a lesson plan that can be purchased for parents or schools that want to figure out how to take those lessons to another level. Different hands-on activity, different fun things that again stimulate the cognitive as well as the creative side of the brain. So our goal is to get it into households, into individual households. But we have a big push going towards schools and after-school programs throughout the state.
So you're developing a whole curriculum around these books.
Absolutely.
That's great.
Absolutely.
All right. AjimuButler.com is where you can pre-order your books. Malcolm Loves Math, Isha Loves English. Did I say
Yes,
that right? You got the
that's
titles
right.
right?
That's
All right.
perfect. That's perfect.
All right. Well, thank you, Ajimu, for joining us today. Really appreciate it.
The pleasure is mine, man. You know what? I realized I've been looking at you at the screen the whole time. I probably should have been looking at the camera to get a little bit more.
I do the same thing. I do the same thing every
Yeah,
time.
man. But it's
It's all good,
personal
man.
conversation here. So yeah. But I definitely appreciate the opportunity.
It's all good, brother. All right.
For sure.
And thank you to Ajimu Butler for joining us to talk about those children's books again. AjimuButler.com. You can pick those up. He's also got a couple of poetry books that he did months ago. A couple last things we'll mention local news wise. We got a couple good profiles today. As you're going through your weekend, take a look at these. This is Guillermo Tellez. He's from Mexico City, moved to Madison in the late 1980s. Followed his sisters here, actually. If you read Madison365 regularly, you've probably heard of Teresa Tellez and Patricia Tellez. Both Patricia is a family doctor, and Teresa is a bilingual and bicultural social services director in Dane County. But Guillermo is a mechanical engineer and is helping NASA get to Mars, which is great, by learning how to grow plants in space. He's building the equipment and the laboratories and the like sort of the space gardens. He's literally built like a garden that is on the International Space Station, growing wheat and lettuce and everything. So and his work has been recognized by NASA with awards, and you know, this is how we get to Mars, is that you got to grow food in space, and this Madisonian is right at the forefront of that, and it's very exciting. And Dave Dahmer has a great profile of him today. Also today at Literacy Network, a former student of Literacy Network, Alejandra, I'm gonna make sure I get her name right, Alejandra Munoz Contreras, has been promoted now to Student Services Manager at the Literacy Network, and Mackenzie Crum has a very nice profile of Alejandra on the site right now. It's right there on the front page at Madison365.org. All right, that is the news for your Friday. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. I will be back Monday. We'll have the It's Only 10 Minutes podcast for you Monday morning, and I'll be back at 4 o'clock Monday afternoon. Actually, on Monday, the show is going to be a little bit early. The show will be at 3:30 on Monday, and then back to the normal schedule on Tuesday. All right, have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you soon. And until then, take care.
This is 365 Media.